All right, good day. Welcome back here to a new updated Ultravation training. Today we're training with the Brookaire team out of New Jersey and the New York region. Just a refresher for you all, I am your manufacturer's rep. We handle from Delaware to Maine for the Ultravation product line. They're niched in the indoor air quality market, as well as actually the indoor water market as well. But I'm the consultant that covers mostly New Jersey, Pennsylvania, upstate New York. I've been at this for a little while now, doing a lot of training, a lot of sales, a lot of marketing, not just in this industry and others as well. So happy to work with you guys and catch you guys up on the latest and greatest with Ultravation. So our agenda is going to be focusing on defining the IAQ technology that we're currently aligning with, understanding the UVC terminology versus UVGI, and obviously why this is aligned with the ASHRAE recommendations, as well as product recommendations and adherence to ASHRAE. And then obviously we're going to differentiate some of the products from the competition because we have some technology that does really stand above and beyond. So the biggest thing we would remind everybody is that whole when, where, why scenario. And honestly, we're talking about filtration, UV disinfection, and then the UV air purification level. And this is just a quick mock-up just to help people understand. We do talk about ionization technology, which is in the upper right-hand corner here, along filtration. Improving filtration is actually really what it's become niched at, but it does do air purification as well. That is a non-UV based technology that we'll talk about today. And then obviously in a system layout, you're dealing with your return coming in, filtering the air, and then obviously we're coming into spring and summer right now, so you'll be running your coils and cooling and having cool air. Those coils will get moist, they will get dirty. So we talk about surface area treatment with UV. And then obviously once you pass the air through the system, your equipment, you're moving into supply. And so we're talking about the supply side of things, which is that air purification stage. And obviously this is residentially targeted. We're also going to be talking about the commercial side as well. So just to get through some of the terminology, there's a lot of science. There's a lot of terminology. You can wiki this, you can YouTube it. Just to sum everything up, these are the most common things being thrown around right now is UVGI is the technology that happens when you're using a UVC class lamp, AKA bulb. So any technology we're going to go over today is using UVGI technology because we're talking about UVC wavelength UV bulbs. So that's the quick synopsis on that. We're going to hit on PCO. This is something that's been out for years now. This deals even more with the air purification side of things because that stands for photocatalytic oxidation. In order for that to happen, you again have to be using a UVC class irradiation process, AKA using that UVC wavelength bulb. And then you're using a substance, which is the catalyst, the triggering, which is a titanium dioxide. And we have products that use titanium dioxide combined with UV to create that PCO reaction. And we'll go over that here as well. I have a couple quick little videos for that. And then obviously explaining, as I hinted, the ionization component, the negative and positive ions, what's happening, how it improves filtration, etc. So real quick, I'm going to switch screen shares over to a couple of videos just to help you guys out. First video up, we are going to be queuing up is what is PCO and photocatalytic oxidation.
Here's how it works. The UV photomax advanced oxidation module is coated with an exclusive titanium dioxide formulation. When UV light is applied to the surface, the titanium...
We're not seeing the actual video.
Yep, we're switching over now.
The electrons then combine with oxygen. Here's how it works. The UV photomax advanced oxidation module is coated with an exclusive titanium dioxide formulation. When UV light is applied to the surface, the titanium dioxide coating becomes energized, causing it to release electrons. The electrons then combine with oxygen to create what are known as superoxides. The titanium dioxide then collects replacement electrons from moisture in the air to become charged particles known as hydroxyl radicals. Together with the superoxide, a powerful photocatalytic oxidation, or PCO field, is created. As odors, germs, mold, and other VOC organic molecules approach the PCO field, they are disassembled as the oxidizers pull electrons from them. The purification purification process is complete, with the remaining molecules recombined to form simple water vapor and trace amounts of carbon dioxide. Ultravation's advanced oxidation process. Here's how it works.
So that's your PCO overview. And I'm actually going to switch over to a secondary share. There's no audio on this one. Stand by. But I'll at least walk you guys through it. So this is a video I'm queuing up
now, which is actually going to overview on ionization. And long story short, these are all animations, by the way, available on Ultravation's YouTube channel, as well as we've been building this content into our own channel at SMS Team. So this is just obviously explaining, hey, we're targeting bacteria, viruses, allergens, and mold. Now, this is basically your thunderstorm in a box, so to speak. Basically, this is an ion generator creating negative and positive ions. And at the scientific level, basically, there's a lot of small microparticulates which are affecting and helping those really, really small particulates basically fluff up and stick together. It helps the filter catch them better. But thanks to that reaction, it's basically the same thing as happening in our atmosphere when lightning strikes across the sky. It's releasing so much energy, it's positively, negatively charging the particulates. This aids in filtration, this aids in a process outside of the standard UV world. Now, as far as the rest of our training today, we're really focusing heavily on staying aligned with the ASHRAE guidelines and obviously the CDC expectations as well. So ionization is still technically a newer technology. We still mention it because it has been validated. It does work. It is effective. But obviously right now, we're really just trying to hammer heavily on what comes out of the chapter 62 of the ASHRAE handbook, what is being focused on in regards to UVC class wavelength bulbs, et cetera. So this image here I'm screen sharing now comes directly out of chapter 62 of the ASHRAE handbook. We have this linked. I've sent it to your team. This is actually linked as a resource in all of our current IAQ blog articles that we've released at smsteam.co as well. So this is proof that, hey, we're not making this stuff up. This is valid technology. It's been proven. It's been documented in the last 3 to 5 releases of the ASHRAE handbook. This is the 2018 updated image. But as far as this, we're going to be hammering solidly on 2 areas: airstream focus and surface area. So surface area refers to coils, for example. Airstream is focusing on that supply coming out of the equipment. We're dealing with airborne particulates, airborne viruses, bacteria, et cetera. And again, all this stuff will be linked on our site as well. So real quick, let's dive into that UVC. I've had people ask me recently, hey, there's UVB, there's UVA. I know there's these different bulbs out there. Doesn't matter. As far as what the CDC and the ASHRAE speak about, it's all about UVC. It is the most dangerous. It's the most concentrated form of UV light. This graph here up top shows, hey, you got the visible light that you can see coming from the sun, for example, even like tanning beds, et cetera. And then you go all the way to left to the extreme, which is X-ray. But in the UVC light spectrum, we need that 254 is the nanometers. So that's the most potent level of UV light. And that's why, again, you can look anywhere. You can look on Ultravation. You can look on ASHRAE's descriptions, CDC's descriptions. There's plenty of information out there nowadays, but this sums it all up. It is the most concentrated form. It is the most destructive, and it will kill microorganisms and render them lifeless. It breaks them down in fractions of a second. The biggest thing I like to call attention to here is this purple sphere is reminding people of the importance of proximity on installation. So when we're dealing with surface area, for example, we're trying to keep stuff from growing on a coil inside of an HVAC system, whether it's residential or commercial. You want those bulbs mounted closely to the coil. As you can see here, as we move further away from 3 inches to 6 inches to 12 inches, we're losing its potency of the microwatt level of exposure. So obviously, if you're right up on, right up inside that bulb, you're getting 30,000. But obviously, if you move 12 inches away, you've dropped to only 1,200. So it reminds us of the importance of, hey, this is pretty potent stuff. And obviously, the closer to the bulb, the better for breaking things down. The good thing is this, it reminds everybody too, even though we're talking about UVC class bulbs, the light spectrum still releases UVA and UVB. And there's a lot of discussions around UVA as well as UVC activating PCO. I don't want to get all into that. Long story short, it works. We're only dealing with UVC class bulbs, so that makes it really simple for people to proceed. So as a reminder, just to clarify the terminology, and then we'll just move into understanding products, et cetera. UVC is the lamp type. that is that most potent section of the wavelength and the spectrum of UV light. UVGI is the term for the technology, the tools, the process that's happening inside of, for example, in this case, we're targeting HVAC equipment. So those UVC lamps are installed inside of equipment, and now you could say you're using, great, I'm using UVGI technology on the coil if I've got a bulb on the coil. If I've got some type of product using a UVC class lamp or AKA bulb in the airstream, great, I'm using UVGI technology in the airstream. And then there's other levels like the second to last bullet point here, and we'll go over this today commercially. There's equipment called upper room units. This is called out in chapter 62 of ASHRAE as well. And these are pieces of equipment that only have bulbs in them, no motors, no blowers, and I'll show that to you guys. And long story short, it's using convective airflow. But if I'm using equipment like that and that's been spec'd on the job, then great, I'm now using UVGI technology in an upper room application because I have UVC class lamps in there. So long story short, UVC lamp is the wavelength, that's the lamp, and I'm using UVGI technology wherever that is installed. So now proceeding over. Important clarification from the ultravation world. Not all bulbs are the same. A lot of people think this. We do make and sell products that have 1 year life standard UV bulbs. They are not our T3 class bulb. Our T3 is a patented design. So there's standard UVC bulbs, great. They have in the industry, as long as you're using a UVC class lamp and it's a 1 year life cycle bulb, it could have a 2 year warranty. But if it's not T3, that's a 9,000 hour bulb, meaning that's a 1 year life. I should be swapping them, maintaining them, doing preventive maintenance once a year. If you're using our products that have T3, this is a patented design. We took a standard UV bulb, encapsulated it in a quartz sleeve with some gas between the two layers. Why? It insulates the bulb. Why? Most UV bulbs, especially when you're running your cooling system, can't get hot enough. They can't reach their maximum potency and potential. This bottom graph here shows a typical UV lamp in the red. Well, if I really want to get up to that peak performance and get as much potency out of that bulb, I really need to keep that thing insulated. And that's why we designed and engineered and patented the T3 bulb. I can get that maximum 100% potential out of my UV bulb because it's insulated, it's protected, it can hit the hotter temperatures, the cooling air as it's going by is not affecting its performance. And obviously there's also other benefits that it's basically a protective layer. So any kind of debris or anything else that's blowing by, it's not going to interfere with the bulb's ability to work. That also ensures a better lasting, but also as our point here is you get 40% more energy out of that bulb because of that design. Most of our commercial installations in our higher end residential, they all have T3 standard. I'll show you guys that today. This is an important education graph. I love explaining this to people, the science of UVC. Why? So this is a graph we pulled out of our commercial lineup. That's why at the bottom of it, you see UV Matrix SI and UV Matrix AS. We'll get into that later. But this is a great graph explaining why there's really 2 points of contact. So when people are designing systems, we remind them we ask the question, like, what are you solving for? If I just have concerns, like the bottom here, the blue is pretty much almost all the way across these are all, streptococcus. These are surface area. There's E. coli, et cetera. These are surface area things. So if I'm just addressing a coil application where surface area is concerned, then great, you're fine. Do a coil application. I'm just putting bulbs at the coil, residentially or commercially, I'm good. But as you move up this graph towards the top, you're getting into influenza, you're getting into ecovirus, all these things that are airborne spores, bacillus, for example. So this reminds us, okay, great, still deal with the coil. You'll get, for example, ecovirus, I'll get 23% efficiency and effectiveness out of that. Influenza A, great, I might get 77% out of that. But if I really want to hit maximum potency in an HVAC system, I need to be adding in an airstream solution. So it's not just coil. We need to be dealing with the airstream as well. So that's why I love this graphic. It really helps teach us the importance of, great, I could start at the coil, but if I'm dealing with airborne concerns as well and want to get maximum potency out of my system, I need to be adding in an airstream solution as well. So now we're just going to get into some of the products and overview here. This is just a quick, we have a lot of products. This is way more than this, but this is just some of our popular items. We like to remind people, hey, when you're dealing with large particulates, make sure you're putting in a proper filtration solution. Obviously, we sell MERV 11, MERV 13 class filters from Ultravation. We do not deal with the pressure drop performance issues that everybody else has, because we're giving the consumer, basically once the contractor installs this filter, you're getting 32 feet of pleated filter in our design. Most manufacturers aren't doing that. The ability of that increased surface area means that you can actually trap more particulates without dealing with pressure drop performance issues. A lot of guys that are dealing with IAQ, they haven't really moved beyond a MERV 8 class filter. That's usually high end for them because they're worried about having designed the system around it. So we've actually helped a lot of contractors get beyond that concern with better filtration performance and better IAQ. You're trapping a lot more airborne particulates better with a higher quality filter without dealing with the performance issues. So right below that, we remind people about our Orion. That is our ion generation system that creates the ionization. We showed that video on earlier. This is a great reminder on our UVC class technology for mini splits and ductless. That market has exploded over the past few years. So that's our universal kit that we'll go over today. And then obviously the bulb we're showing here is our T3 design and actually I tell people all the time, pull out a traditional UV bulb and then look at our T3 bulb. You put them in your hands, you can tell these are not the same thing. This is a much better engineered product. And then the Solaris we're going to go over today. This is one of our most potent impacting products for what's been going on. And this generates more technology than pretty much anything on the market for a residential solution. We have other things as well, but this has been really targeted lately with people trying to get as much out of their system as possible. So real quick, I like to start at the entry level. People didn't know that there's actually a throwaway product nowadays. So we do have the advantage on the market. We have been dealing heavily on that, but it is a UVC class bulb. So if you put this inside of a system, you can still do your UVGI technology. You can address the coil. Some people do add on a carbon module to add on some PCO technology, but this is very entry level. This is designed to be not a standard bulb swap like most of the higher end solutions have. This is, you just grab you take the screws off, you take the actual black module, pull the whole module out, throw it away, and you replace this every year or every 2 years if you bought the T3 version of it. So this is something that doesn't exist in the industry. We were the first ones to come out with a throwaway design. Now, obviously here, we don't have to worry about offering a lifetime warranty product because every time you swap that bulb, you're gaining a new warranty. So that's the purpose of something like this, very entry level for the contractors, the wholesalers, everybody getting this. When you install this, this is basically the cost of a standard lifetime warranty product that uses our higher end interchangeable bulb systems. And we'll show that here in a second. So here's a Solaris. This is what I was hinting at. So this is your more top of the line residential solution. This is a lifetime warranty product. You can, if there's anything that's ever going to go wrong, this boxy power head is the only thing sticking outside on the outside of the ductwork when this is installed. Everything else is actually in the ductwork doing its job. If anything would ever fail, we would just ship you a new power head, and they just pulls this one off, slap the new one on, and they're done. But this is addressing a much higher level of impact for air quality because you're not just dealing with a T3 class UV bulb in here. We're dealing with, we have our ionization technology installed in this. So you actually have basically 4 electrodes in there creating that ionization that the separate Orion system does. You have the UV. The biggest thing here is also we have 2 layers of this metal screen on here. So it goes around once at one zone and then expands out to a second layer of metal screening around that. Why is that important? We have basically twice as much surface area that has the titanium dioxide on it. So in order to create photocatalytic oxidation, you need to have a UVC class bulb, and you need to have a surface area treated with that titanium dioxide, which is a catalyst. We went over that earlier. So UV shining plus titanium dioxide on these metal screens, for example, creates all that PCO that we like. Now, it is known that there is a byproduct of photocatalytic oxidation. It's called ozone. Most people not affected by it. This is happening in my house right now. Don't care. I have very clean air, smells amazing, no odors. There is a small percentage of the population that might have a sensitivity to the smell of ozone, that medical office smell. Now, even though we're doing the ionization inside of this product and that thunderstorm fresh air, there might still be a slight concern with that. So it cannot be sold as an ozone-free labeled product. This is technically generating some ozone. It is adjustable. when you take the power head off, there's a little rod in there, and you can actually adjust the amount of UV being released and creating the reaction of the PCO. So these are scalable. You can adjust it by square footage or CFMs, but in the end, you can't sell it as a ozone-free product because there is some ozone being generated. But again, this is our top of the line product, and I'm going to get into a comparison here in a second. You'll see why. The biggest advantage of this product is why we promote it is when a contractor installs this and wires this, all you have to do is add on a coil lamp. So this is designed to also, from a single wiring job, I can install the Solaris, and then I get my accessory lamp for the coil, whether I need 12 inches or 17 inches of length over top of my coil. But I can get that with a Y jack and plug it right into the Solaris. So all I have to do is wire one unit, and then the Solaris will power the add-on coil lamp. So per my earlier graph of being able to cover surface area plus airstream, this is why we recommend this type of install, and this is why we promote it for the residential solution, because it's much better for the contractor as well as the homeowner. Now, why do we promote this so much? I'm actually going to switch a screen share over to a bigger version of this comparison chart we had done with some of the competition, just so people understand there is a difference in technology, and people need to understand that. So, switch over here, PDF. So here's a zoomed in version of what we're discussing. So we picked 3 of the top selling items that are using UV technology in residential. First off, in order to call yourself a passive PCO, you have to have carbon. We do have a version. We have one that looks similar to the Solaris, but there's actually 3 huge strips of carbon. There's no ionization in it, but per this APCO version here, we have 3 times the carbon. This is what I have installed in my house. So I actually have a passive PCO induct solution in my house, plus my coil lamp on the coil. Again, that's just a difference there. But basically, this is the Remy Halo. This is the top selling item out there on the market. We have a much more potent bulb design. They only have bipolar ionization. Ours is a dual band bipolar. It's adjustable. And we'll get into the adjustability here in a second. Again, as I hinted, it's a dual band class bulb. Everybody else is using a single band. Per the design, I already hinted at it earlier. Since we have double the layer of metal surface area around it, we have 200 square inches of area treated with the titanium dioxide that creates that reaction that you need. Again, this product only uses 6 carbon blocks. We have another version of this, as I hinted. We have 15 blocks that I have in my house. And then this only has 26 square inches of surface area because of its design. Again, twin active layers, carbon block. There's just a round design. So we have more surface area to create a better reaction and a better field in the airstream. Again, since all of Ultravation's products come out of Vermont, made in the USA, we could put out better quality. So ours is completely stainless steel and aluminum. One of the other products is just aluminum, and then our most popular competitor, the Remy Halo, is plastic and aluminum. Again, PCO, we're overly treating everything. We're creating as much technology as possible here. The adjustability, we actually have a 4-inch adjustment range, as I hinted at, to help with that, possible concern with PCO and the effects of ozone. The competing product, APCO, they can't adjust it. Remy Halo, they only have a 2-inch adjustment. The other issue is the way theirs is designed is they have like metal panels that slide over and close up the holes. So you're actually restricting the UV disinfection. You don't want to do that. Our adjustability deals with the bulb alone. We do not block our UV. We're just dealing with the ozone concern. So there's a complete difference on engineering and design. Now, as far as lamp monitoring, nobody else has lamp monitoring. Our power head has a built-in monitoring technology to let us know if there's a problem with the bulb or when it's time to swap out for life cycle. Again, nobody else has monitoring. We've added that technology in as well. As I hinted, we do have ionization in here. We have four times going on. APCO doesn't have it. Remy Halo only has 2. Expandability. Nobody else adds that expandability. As I hinted, I can plug in that add-on coil lamp to make sure that I'm aligning with ASHRAE and I'm at least dealing with my coil. People should not skip the coil. You should do coil plus airstream. And then as far as warranties, we're crushing it. Lifetime warranty. And because we're using our better quality bulbs, our bulbs have a 2-year life cycle and a 2-year warranty. Again, now APCO does a good job. They do lifetime warranty their product, and I don't know what kind of lamp they're using. And then with the Remy Halo, they don't lifetime warranty their product. They only have 2 years on the PCO, 5-year on the ballast, and then per their fine print, it says no warranty on parts that are outsourced. I do not know what that means. We don't care. We just lifetime warranty the product. Keep it simple. Swap bulbs every 2 years and you're fine. So let's switch back over the presentation. As I hinted, the ductless market is huge. Commercially, it has exploded. Residentially, it is now exploding. So if people are not upgrading their ductless heads, this is a huge market. Why? It's basically a petri dish on your wall. You don't have ductwork. You don't have the ability to put in all the technology we just reviewed. This is sitting on the side of an office wall, sitting on the side of someone's bedroom. There's the applications have become limitless. Ductless has been a great job. The mini split market has exploded. The only thing you really do once you install these is surge protect them and then put in some type of IAQ device. We make a universal kit specifically aligned with the ASHRAE guidelines of using UVC bulbs and creating UVGI technology in a ductless head. There's other tech out there talking about trying to use LED and everything else. I'm like, nope, that doesn't align with the standards. So this is a universal kit. You can work with pretty much any manufacturer out there. You have a auto power sensing head, and then 2 very small 7-inch bulbs that can be installed up inside the head. This is how you reduce the chance of things growing inside these heads. You still have to go back and service and clean these heads. That is based on whoever your PM customers are out there. If they're not doing it, they need to start doing it. There is products to safely clean ductless heads, depending on if it's a restaurant or a bakery or obviously a house. That would depend on the amount of particulates and what's going on in the air. I know for a fact, if it's a pizzeria or any kind of restaurant dealing with yeast, you better be cleaning these things annually. So, because it gets pretty nasty in there. Again, if you have the UV installed in there, that will help inhibit possible growth, mold, spores, etc. But you still have to go back and service the equipment. So this has been a very, very popular item for us. As I hinted earlier, we have the ion generator. If you guys want to dig into ionization, we can. But this is just, we're focusing on UV today. But this has been a great application for not just residential, but actually commercially in ice machines, PTAC units. We have UV for ice machines as well, but some people have asked to go the ionization route. We actually generate 3 times more ionization than everybody else, thanks to our design. By the way, it looks way nicer than everybody else too. The other great thing I love about it is the electrodes that come out can actually flip. They can stay in this photo the way it is. This is how it would look if you mounted it inside of your equipment. But if you don't have the space, you just drill 2 small holes to get the electrodes through the ductwork or through the equipment to where, before the filter. And you can actually mount this on the outside of the equipment. So that's why we give you a magnetic mount or the option to hard mount it. So giving people the flexibility of going inside or outside equipment has been huge for this. And again, this works for commercial or residential. You can add as much of these as you want. As I reminded you guys, and actually I know Brookaire, you guys heavily use us for filtration and bulbs. So obviously we have those high class filters in basically every application for residential especially. But then we've also exploded the market for our custom filter cabinets as well. We do custom powder coating to match everybody's equipment. We do even private labeling for the contractors as well. So I always remind people that if you're going to do IAQ, complete the system. You put all this UV technology in, and then you put a cheap 1-inch Home Depot filter in there. That's not IAQ. Let's make sure we're using proper filtration aligned with obviously proper UVC class applications using UVGI technology. All right. I know Brookaire wants to hit on this. Commercial. So all the concepts we've discussed align here. We're dealing with surface area and we're dealing with airstream. So this is just a quick overview slide. I'm going to dig into the segments. The upper left is our SI series, S for surface. To the right is our AS series. That is the airstream, obviously. The 4X is because this is dealing with a NEMA 4X enclosure. This is big on rooftop equipment. If they want to have a completely waterproof, heavy-duty outdoor, power design, then that's our 4X series. The bulbs then just have to be, drill holes through and slide right into the ductwork or into the equipment if you're doing rooftops. Then the upper room application I hinted at earlier, these are for big, wide open spaces. So now we're going to get through the commercial relatively quick, actually. It's actually very clean and simple. So as I said earlier in the training, whether it's residential or commercial, we have to ask ourselves, what are we solving for? Okay, so there's that graph again I hinted at earlier. We deal with coil area and we deal with airstream. So if you're getting maximum efficiency and maximum IAQ, you should be putting both in. And especially on these commercial jobs, this is why it might take a few extra steps to quote commercial, because we want to make sure we're addressing all the right amount of CFMs, the amount of square footage in that building, the amount of air, et cetera. So surface area, and actually technically airstream. This is what the UV matrix SI is. All of our commercial stuff is called UV matrix. The only thing different is the application, and that changes those 2 letters at the end. So everything commercially from Ultravation is the UV matrix, just to clarify that. So obviously we want to deal with coil irradiation again, right? We have these mounted over top of these massive coils and these big walk-in equipment on top of hospitals, libraries. I've been all over the place. It's the big thing I love about Ultravation is they only design it this way. We could sell just big, long bulbs. The problem is when you get into a commercial application for a new install, okay, well, how are you going to rack them? So obviously this is an example of how we design our custom racking to make sure this actually gets shipped as a telescoping. So it actually slides in on itself and then is pulled wide to fit the amount of surface area that was requested for that design. So again, because there's air moving through these walk-in units, once you walk out of the equipment, lock the door, that activates the UV. So you're still technically dealing with some airstream as well, but you're not fully addressing the airstream. This is really designed to really keep those coils clean and help inhibit growth, again, in a commercial application. So the 4X also can be used on rooftop units, et cetera. Again, as I hinted, this is if they want to have a NEMA 4X rated enclosure. Hey, great, it's waterproof, it's heavy duty. Again, we're keeping just like the last slide, you'll notice on the designs, all the power, all the technology is on the far left and the far right, right? We don't want to be putting things in front of the airstream. That's going to constrict flow. So you'll notice in all of our designs, we're keeping all the stuff out of the equipment. We don't want to be putting a bunch of stuff in the equipment. A lot of our competitors commercially do that. They don't have an external design. We try and keep everything outside. So the only thing in the airstream or in the inside of the equipment is going to be the bulb technology. So again, really popular for these limited space applications commercially. You don't have a lot of room. You can add multiples of these modules I've seen on a system depending on what they're trying to solve for. Again, you're inhibiting biogrowth, you're helping with algae relief, coil cleaning, airstream disinfection, etc. Now, as I hinted, airstream. This is the most popular from an airstream solution. These are obviously our AS series. You'll notice again, the big long silver rectangle, all the metal, all the wiring, all the electronics, everything is mounted inside that and kept outside of the airstream. So in this type of application, if you're using this 4 bulb design, I just have to drill and cut 4 holes for those UV bulbs, slide that into the supply ductwork, and I'm installed. Everything's on the outside, so I can wire it, do whatever I got to do. Nothing is constricting airflow. And there are applications where if it's a large, wide commercial ductwork, especially in New York City, these big cities, big buildings, you may have to have multiples of these. If the ductwork is very wide across, you might be limited by bulb length. So we've seen applications where this is why we have to really talk design. That design, when they need to go one on each side of that main duct. So the bulbs meet in the middle to ensure at least, I think the standard is 80% coverage in a airstream ductwork. So again, depends on the ductwork and the design. If you're dealing with a small supply duct, you might be able to have just one of these installed. So again, we're dealing with airstream here. All right, the other commercial application, this is taking off again, unfortunately, due to everything going on during the pandemic. This upper room design was really bigger for us overseas in Europe and other areas because this is also called out in the ASHRAE handbook. This design is really popular in wide open rooms. If they're trying to increase air decontamination and disinfection and radiation, all that, this is popular in basically wide open cafeterias, wide open spaces, like basically there's just no rooms. And how are you going to duct it? How are you going to treat huge areas where lots of people congregate? So this is actually a design that is designed to handle 225 square feet. You have to have at least a 7-foot ceiling height clearance, but there's no motors, there's nothing in it. It's our high-end steel construction that we use for our filtration cabinets, but you can get them powder coated, you can get them stainless steel, but simply there's 2 vertical UVC bulbs in here. And then we have our louvers that actually help ensure that, when you look up, you're not looking straight into a UV light, but it's directing the UV outward across the top of the room. That's why it's called upper room. But thanks to natural temperatures of convective air, yeah, as the hot air rises and the cold air settles, you're creating a natural circulation, what's happening here. But that's why this is only designed to hit 225 square feet, because this is not some big, huge, boxy unit. There may be multiple applications in here. Inside the ASHRAE handbook, they show you an image using an upper room design, and it's a long hall, big, massive hallway with a big cafeteria. And they actually have one of these mounted above each doorway as you're coming in and out of that space. So that just happens to be one of the specs they had in chapter 62. So there's more in there on that. So we're reminding people now that upper room is becoming more popular again here in the States. So we're increasing a lot of training and availability on this. This has been a new hit for us. So that closes out the commercial overview. I'm just going to remind you guys, we are your reps for the whole Northeast. I'm your rep in New Jersey and New York City for everything from vibration isolation on Vimco. Obviously, we just hit on Ultravation. We do residential and commercial thermoflex for flexible duct work. We actually have IAQ specific products that cannot have, the things do not grow inside the core. We're the Red Devil reps for coccysilicons, Pro One thermostats, PDM line sets you use on every HVAC installation. We even represent a company called IAQ Lab that makes a swab test kit to confirm if there is growth inside of HVAC coil. You can take a swab and swab it, and within 5 minutes, it'll prove if there's something live. It's not going to tell you what it is, but it's a great PM test tool for a lot of IAQ focused guys. And then we're also the fire dampers and everything in the damper louver world for fire life safety for air technologies. And we are the 521 reps for surge protectors and compressor savers and everything that's actually essential inside of an HVAC piece of equipment. So, but that'll conclude our training. And now we can stop recording and move to some Q&A. So stand by.